You are all welcome to this section. Before we delve into the panel section, I would like to do a little introduction. I actually don't want to bore you. The guru of AI have just spoken to us, so I don't need to say much, but I'm going to say how it concerns the Nigerian Communications Commission and the reason for the topic that we have chosen today. So, first of all, NCC, for those who don't know, is an independent telecom regulatory authority. We are responsible for creating an enabling environment for service providers in the telecom industries. And we also ensure that they provide qualitative and efficient telecom services to the whole consumers. And we, as the regulatory body, we also ensure that all consumers of the telecom services in Nigeria are protected, informed, and satisfied with services that is being provided to them. The topic for discussion, AI transformation opportunity for the telecom consumers. In NCC, actually, we see the consumer as the king, hence the choice of this subtopic. We decided to dwell on consumer. In NCC, the consumer is the king. They are the reason why we are in business. Without them, we won't be in business. Without you all seated here are all consumers. I hope you know telecom consumers because you are users of the telecom services. So what the topic is going to do, is going to look into how AI would impact consumer behaviors, taking decisions about your data usage, the concerns about the impact of AI, and what the NCC is doing to leverage AI for the telecom industry. I'm going to go into the questions. I hope my panelists are ready. In no particular order. Okay, let me start with Mr. Odeyemi, please, I would want you to tell us how AI would impact consumer behavior.
Yes.
Okay. I hope you got the question. How would AI impact consumer behavior?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So basically, first of all, what's consumer behavior? So consumer behavior generally would be the preferences, attitudes, and even emotions that deal with how people, associated with the purchase, use, and disposal of goods and services. So when we say how does artificial intelligence affect or impact on consumer behavior, there are so many ways that it does, ways in which we may or may not even be conscious of. For instance, let's say when you're trying to make informed purchase decisions, okay? So many of us who shop online will realize that while you're shopping online, you may be seeing suggestions that are related to things that you would normally do or look for, or sometimes even conversations you have had, or you're tracking your activity. What artificial intelligence does is that it gathers or puts together your data from previous use and provides, suggestions that would guide and for better decision making when making purchases. Something not to do with purchases, as a second example. For instance, about 3 years ago, Google claimed that every day, 1 billion kilometers are driven in about 220 countries across the world using Google Maps. Now, many of us are familiar with this. It's supposed to be straightforward. It plots the route and maps the direction which you go. But what we may or may not know is that how does your map show you real-time traffic data? What this does is that everyone who is using Google Maps is also feeding back. So if I want to go, say, from here to Wuse 2, okay, and I want to use my map, on my way, the Google map may tell me that, okay, there's traffic on this route, use another route. What is happening is that someone who is 2 or 3 minutes closer to where I am is feeding the platform back, and this is feeding me back to give me better information, thereby improving my decision making. There's so many options. We can go on and on. Another one, some of us may be familiar with chatbots, for instance. 24/7 consumer support. Whether it's your bank or whatever service it is you're looking for, the idea is that intelligence collects information from, essentially, there's hardly any problem or solution that has not occurred before, okay? So when you present your problem, it pulls from data from previous solutions and previous resolutions and offers them to you, you know, making more efficiency and better decision making. So, yes, I can go on, or I can stop there for now.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Okay, the next question will go to Mrs. Hawa Wakil. And the question is, there are concerns about the impact of AI as it relates to taking over jobs across small scale, medium skills, and experts in the field. Now, what are the measures intended to get a balance in adopting the technology?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Thank you, audience. Of course, there are concerns. In fact, in the last session that we just had, I heard the moderator, jokingly saying that she hopes her job will not be taken away. So the reality is that it's a global concern. It's a concern for both developed and, developing nations. Again, the reality is that the fourth industrial revolution is VUCA. It's VUCA in the sense that 1, it is volatile, 2, it is uncertain, 3, it is complex, 4, it is ambiguous. And therefore, it is expected. People are naturally afraid of the unknown because it's uncertain. So, however, there are also indications of some traditional jobs that are being phased away. Some are even going into extinction. Jobs like data clerk entry. We have seen driverless cars, drivers, probably in the nearest future. We have seen even accountants. We have seen legal assistants. We have seen so many of those traditional jobs are being phased away. At the same time, new ones are evolving. We have like content creators, we have bloggers, we have marketing creators, and so many of them, web developers are coming up. So the same way that the old traditional jobs are being phased out, we have many new jobs that are emerging. In fact, they are emerging faster than they are being phased out. So there is this research that was done by Goldman Sachs, and it says that 18% of the global jobs would be automated. That is a reality. And also another study was done by McKinsey Global Institute, where it also says 50% of global jobs are technically automatable by technologies. So that means it's a reality. But again, let us look at the realities on ground. A study was done, a recent study in 2023, March 2023 to be precise, by the same McKinsey Global Institute on future of work. That has been mentioned. So in that study, it studied actually 8 economies, including US, UK, France, India, and other France, India, US, UK, and other economies. So in that study, they had 4 conclusions. One of the conclusions is that one job out of every 16 workers, they will have to switch by 2030. 1 out of every 16 workers will have to switch its occupation. That means you have to find a way of improving it, upskilling or reskilling. The next finding or conclusion is that there are some specific skills that will grow. They have seen the trend. It's growing. Most especially those skills that require STEM skills. STEM skills and soft skills are those professions or occupations that are growing. However, some are declining. Those ones that require maybe just medium skills and lower skills. That goes to show that we have to migrate, begin to migrate to those STEM skills and then soft skills. Again, one of the findings also indicates that there are some areas, some sectors that tend to have growth. Most especially in e-commerce. We can see it even in our local environment. And then green economy. We've seen that also has potentials. There is so much growth from that side. Meanwhile, others are slowing down. Again, there is this statistics that shows that by 2030, 800 million jobs, this is a global view anyway, 800 million jobs could be disrupted by automation or AI. So that means it's a reality that is disrupting the economy. However, there is no, according to the study by McKinsey, there is no scientific evidence to show that AI is going to take away all the jobs of the humans anyway. So the conclusion is that AI will learn, will work with human beings. There are some areas that definitely AI cannot take over, just like we discussed earlier. When it comes, most especially those occupations or jobs that have to do with emotional intelligence, AI cannot, maybe for now, as you said, maybe for now, you know. So I think we shouldn't entertain that fear, you know, for now. So again, from their studies, because they have also studied the history of revolutions. So, and all the histories of revolutions have revealed that whenever there is a disruption, there is always an alternative. There is always an alternative, better alternative, you know. So this is an emerging field, it's still evolving. And hopefully the jobs, we will have new jobs, you know, that we will face. So going to the measures that you mentioned, that's what we are doing. So the reality is that, as the saying goes, who he fails to plan, you know, plans to fail. So as a nation, we have a robust digital transformation strategy. I heard also the panel before us were talking about what infrastructure, what we have in place. So that is what we are working on as a commission. So that strategy, which is the National Digital Economy Strategy and Policy. So I'm sure some of you are aware of it. NDEPS 2020 to 2030 is a 10-year policy document. That is what we are using to drive all our interventions and our programs. So it's very important because as most of us mentioned, the need for reskilling and upskilling. The NDEPS has 8 pillars. The second pillar of NDEPS specifically tackles the issues of digital literacy and skills. That is what it is intended to tackle. And there are so many MDAs that are involved in that, NCC inclusive. So what we are doing with regards to that, as somebody even mentioned, the need for collaboration, NCC collaborates with, most especially with NIDA and other MDAs. And specifically, we collaborated on the design or coming up of the National Digital Literacy Framework. Some of you might also be aware that I think in the last 2 months, that was when the Digital Literacy Framework was launched. So that is also to guide the digital literacy training, because we have realized that upskilling and reskilling is very, very vital. It's very important, because as it is in our economy now, we are just scratching AI. We have just started the journey of AI. So it's important that we reskill and upskill. Most especially that we know that STEM skills and soft skills are those that are highly needed to drive AI. So we are working on that. And then again, we have also collaborated with Ministry of Education. Ministry of Education is coming up with a digital learning policy. So we collaborated with them in coming up with that. That would also aid, most especially with regards to catching them young, as was mentioned earlier, and in putting those digital subjects and courses in the curriculum of secondary schools and across schools anyway. So we have worked with them. That is also in the pipeline. So again, under Pillar 7 of the same NDEPS has targets issues regarding innovation-driven enterprises, which is IDEs and entrepreneurs. The Commission is doing a lot regarding that. Again, we are trying to ensure that innovators and entrepreneurs, we have a lot of programs for them and they are able to key in. Also, Pillar 8, which talks about local content. The Commission has created a department in NCC, which is NODIT, which is the Nigerian Office for Development of Indigenous Telecom Sector. So basically, NODIT focuses on promoting indigenous content with regards to innovators, with regards to entrepreneurs. They have collaborations with startups, with tech hubs. They also tackle issues regarding manufacturing and human capital resources. And again, there's one interesting thing that NODIT is doing right now, most especially that we're talking about targeting the unserved and underserved. They are carrying out research programs that is targeted at coming up with affordable, data-driven handphones, which is very, very critical to driving these technologies that we're talking about. That is one key thing that they are doing amongst other initiatives. We also have the National Broadband Policy document that one of the, I think he's not here now, that he mentioned. Actually, because I heard he mentioned 2018, there is a new one. There is an updated one. So this policy document is from 2020 to 2025. As you could have seen in the EVC speech, the broadband penetration today, as at July, is at 47.1%, which is against the targeted 70% by 2025. And I think yesterday I saw it in the media, the executive vice chairman promised that he is sure that by the end of this year, we are going to achieve 50%. So that is to show you that so much is being done regards to infrastructure, amongst other things. So again, we have issues regarding developmental regulations and policies. As some of you might know, again, is in the media, the Commission is reviewing its acts. And one of the reasons is to be able to incorporate some of these emerging technologies. Because when this act was done, most of these emerging technologies that we're seeing today were not there. So policies like this, all that needs to be incorporated. Again, there are so many regulations that are being reviewed in the Commission right now to be able to incorporate, most especially AI, IoT, and all other emerging technologies. We have also licensing regimes. Even licensing regimes are now being updated. We have now a MVNO license regime, which is mobile virtual network operators license regime. So that is also to take, incorporate the realities of our times. We also have, because we cannot conclude this discussion without talking about issues of security and cyber security and online safety. That is very, very important. As we try to embrace some of these technologies, we have to be cognizant of these issues. The Commission is also tackling that head-on. The Commission has a department that is taking care of that, which is the New Media and Information Security Department. We also have a sector CSAT that is also in charge of this security. So these are some of the measures that the Commission is putting in place to ensure that these technologies come to life. You understand, we're able to adapt and adopt them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Actually, it's like you read my mind. Because during the last panel session, someone did mention about the broadband, but you have clarified that. I needed someone in NCC to clarify that, to talk about it, because there was a misinformation in what one of the panelists said about the broadband. Thank you very much.
Yes. Actually, apart from the fiber, the broadband, there are so many targets that the broadband intends or sets out to achieve. More than we talk about excluded, digital inclusion, talk about targeting women, youth, underserved, you understand, to ensure that 95% of Nigerians have access. And I just want to draw our attention to one, just an addition, to one important research, again, is a global research, anyway, that was done by GSMA. Because one interesting thing that we found out, that they found out as an outcome of that research, is that 95% of the global population has access to internet service. However, only 55% of those, the population, are using it. That goes to show that 40%, which is a large number, are not utilizing that access that they have. So you can see that more than infrastructure, there are other issues, most especially when it comes to awareness, advocacy for Nigerians and the ordinary people to take advantage of it. So as we go into all this technology, it is very, very important that we ensure that the whole, because we want everybody to be included. So we must carry along the underserved, the unserved people. We must ensure that it goes more than the infrastructure, that awareness for them to be able to utilize it. So that is one information I needed to add.
Oh, thank you, Hajia Hawa. Thank you very much. And my next question now will go to Ms. Florence Sopo. And how can AI-driven data analytics help telecom consumers make more informed decisions about their data usage?
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's event once again. How can AI-driven data analytics help telecom consumers to make informed decisions about their data usage? I'm very sure that some of my colleagues may have highlighted, some of the points that I'm going to bring out while they were speaking, but there's need for me to answer the question that has been thrown at me by Madam Moderator. Artificial intelligence can help consumers to make informed decisions by personalizing their analytics. How can that happen? Artificial intelligence helps you to analyze your historical data, usage and patterns that, how we use our phones, and help you to know when there's peak usage time, help you to know when there's a network downtime, or when to use or when not to use data. It helps you to know with frequently used apps. It helps you to know when your data is being depleted or you have overshot your data limits. How does it do that? It just gives a basis by providing an analysis of all of these points that I've just mentioned. It also gives consumers the opportunity to monitor real-time usage of their data. How does it do this? It will send a notification to you when you reach your data limits, like I've just said, and possibly recommend plans based on current data. Real-time monitoring as you're using your data, as you're using your devices, your phones, your iPads, tablets, whatever it is you're using for your data. Artificial intelligence gives you that opportunity to know that what you are doing right now, your data is being depleted. Don't go to this site. Visit here. It gives you just, blow by blow notification of how your data is being used. And we know how very, very, very important data can be to us consumers. When you buy data, 2,000, for example, 2,000 naira, and then because of the sites you visited, because of your activities on your data, you get worried about how come 2,000 naira data is finishing in what? In 2 hours. Artificial intelligence will give you the opportunity to know that you're beginning to overshoot your data and you're visiting places that you're not supposed to visit. Why don't you do like this? Why don't you do like that as a consumer? It helps you to make informed decisions about how to use your data and about how to spend your money, because it helps you to save costs. It can also help you by offering tips and recommendations on how to reduce your data consumption. Artificial intelligence can tell you that, oh, there's a Wi-Fi present somewhere here. Why don't you turn off your mobile data and use the Wi-Fi and also tells you if that Wi-Fi space is safe. It can also provide information performance. It can also provide information on network performance, indicating areas of weak signals or high congestion that can affect your data usage as a consumer, and helps you to identify potential security risks related to your data and offer recommendations for security and for securing your personal data. It empowers consumers with actionable insights and also provides information and recommendations, making it easier for each and every one of us to manage our data usage efficiently and make informed decisions about our plans. There was this topic that came up at some point in the Nigerian Communications Commission. We're talking about data depletion. Consumers were sending messages to the commission in droves about how rapidly their data was being depleted, and the commission had to come up with a committee. The committee had to be set up to look into data depletion. What is causing this data depletion? Why is everyone complaining about my data being depleted? 10,000 naira data will finish just like that, and everybody was really worried. And the committee came up with some very sterling points. One of them was, what kind of phone do you use? A couple of people have already migrated into 4G, and their data was flying just like that. And these are people that will probably not be able to afford to buy data for maybe 5 or 10,000 naira, maybe 1,000, 1,005, and their data was going like this. Be careful about the kind of phone you use. Be careful about the sites you visit. A lot of us want to visit all sorts of sites. And when you visit those sites, your data is being depleted. Artificial intelligence can help you to make that kind of decision and to tell you that, look, if you use so and so and so, or you visit so and so place, you are using heavier data than you should when you visit so and so place. Artificial intelligence also gives you an idea, or it will recommend places. For example, when I'm on Facebook, I notice that some kind of advertisement just keeps popping up. I just noticed some kind of adverts popping up, and I'm wondering, why is this advert popping up? So one day I sent a message. Facebook noticed that I was always, deleting those adverts. So they asked me, was this advice useful? And I said, no, it wasn't, because I didn't want to buy what they were advertising. And they said to me that, why was it not useful? And I told them that I didn't want to buy what they were advertising. So it dawned on me that because you visit some sites all the time, maybe you go to buy shoes on certain sites, Facebook keeps bringing up sites that sell shoes. They keep bringing up sites that sell leather products, not just shoes, maybe bags, maybe anything that has to do with leather products. I just noticed that they keep bringing it up and advertising so that they can catch my interest. Artificial intelligence technology is able to do that for us. We've been in technology for a very long time. It's just that right now we're giving it a face and we're giving it a name. If you recall, many years ago, there was this advert on television about Union Bank or UBA, I can't remember, where this man in shorts carries his mat to the bank and was waiting in the queue to be attended to, and then they told him that, oh, there's no need for you to come to the bank anymore. Take your mat home. You can go home. Just go to so and so and do so and so and so. And he was very surprised that, oh, wow, really? The conventional way of doing things, artificial intelligence has helped us very, very tremendously to make decisions. I can decide not to go to the bank. I can decide, to stay in my house, do the transfers, buy my products, pay for them online. Care assistants can talk to me. I can go to chat boxes and, speak with virtual assistants. I can do a lot. So these kinds of tips, these kinds of recommendations, artificial intelligence has made them possible. We are able to make decisions about what we want to do, where we want to go. Artificial intelligence has made things like Uber to be pervasive. If I don't have to drive my car, if I can just stay at home, call Uber on my phone, and the guy is right outside my house. I'll just go, and I don't even have to give him cash. My account is debited 4,000, 5,000 naira, and I'm where I am going. Artificial intelligence has made all of these kind of decisions to be taken. When we started all of this, I was one of those people that said, are you sure this artificial intelligence is not going to make me lazy? I'll just sit down at home. I won't be doing anything. I'll just, But I found out that it has improved our quality of life. It has made things a lot easier, and then you now use your time to do other things instead of going to the bank to stand for 3 hours. I can do whatever I want to do, online, and then use my time for some other things. So these are just some of the benefits that, off the top of my head, I can say that artificial intelligence-driven data analytics has helped me as a telecom consumer and also as a human being to achieve by and large. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much for that. My next question goes to Dr. Ahmed Amate. Doctor, what is the Nigerian Communication Commission doing to leverage AI for the telecom sectors?
Okay, thank you, Madam Moderator. So as they say, charity begins at home. It's a very interesting question. So internally, spearheaded by our EVC, the Commission has kick-started digitizing its internal and external processes. Now, this is in view to subsequently add some intelligence in the processes. I'll give you a simple example. So we're in the process of developing an online application software to help our operators to apply for services easily. And all these processes are done essentially to achieve efficiency within the system and outside the system, to also bring about transparency. As a regulator, it is very vital that you're seen as very fair, just, and transparent. And lastly, to add some sort of adaptiveness in the way we do our processes and in the way we serve our customers. And secondly, one of the biggest limitations in emerging technologies in general is really in terms of capacity building. So the Commission is really on the forefront with regards to capacity building of its staff, so that they can be able to face the challenge of these new emerging technologies, which includes artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and other technologies. So that is on the internal side. So on the global stage, the Commission is very actively involved in standardization of emerging technologies, such as, like I said earlier, IoT and artificial intelligence. The most outstanding part of it, and coming from a relatively young person, is that a lot of the staff that have been sent down to participate in standardization of AIT on the global stage are actually junior management staff, mid-management staff, which shows the zeal of the Commission to sustain regulatory excellence. So an example of one of the standardization groups that we actually participate in is the ITU. If I can remember at the top of my head, I think it's ITU Study Group 16, where we work on standardization of emerging technologies such as, the metaverse, IoT, AI, and so on and so forth. So that is very encouraging, and from the Commission side. And lastly, but not the least, the Commission is heavily involved in collaboration with equipment manufacturers and with particularly the academia. And this is spearheaded by the Research and Development Department of the Commission, which Madam here is one of our senior officers in that department. So the department has really been active in terms of engaging with manufacturers to create policies. An example of those policies is the Open RAN policy, for the people here that are quite technical in the telecom aspect. So the Open RAN now allows equipment manufacturers of different types. So the traditional way of setting up a base station or a mast, if I'll use the common term, is that an operator will put all his equipment from one manufacturer from head to toe in order to achieve an efficient system. So the Commission is working on a lot of policies to now, an example of it is the Open RAN, where multiple equipment manufacturers, multiple vendors can put their equipment together used by one operator to provide efficient service to the consumer. And that requires a lot of artificial intelligence to sort of switch between equipment, take some certain protocols from certain equipment to infuse it in the system to operate better. On the academia, that's from the manufacturer side. On the academia side, the commission and the department in question has really been active in supporting research institutes and higher institutions with regards research and development of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and IoT. Now, they go as far as not only in incentivizing this, this whole program, they go as far as providing or opening up their labs. I happen to be in the Spectrum Admin department. We've had series where not only institutions, not only heavy or renowned manufacturers, we find individuals from institutions. The last one I can remember, a student from Ahmadu Bello University, wrote to the commission, doesn't know anybody, addressed it to the EVC. He was doing a project that required a lot of equipment that he cannot afford or have access to. And the commission welcomed him and helped him through his process without going through without knowing anybody. He literally just addressed the letter to the EVC of the commission, and we opened our gates to them. And this applies to a lot of research institutes who also, we've opened up our arms in terms of incentive and in terms of equipment for them to carry out a lot of research on artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. Now, a last example I'll give in this part is the fact that the commission is heavily vested on promoting local content. And with that regard, they've really worked a lot with our universities to actually use our local equipment to create or to develop prototypes of equipment related to emerging technologies. And so far, so good. We've had very interesting results, and we've done quite a lot in that field. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Doctor. Hello? Okay. You want to? Okay, go ahead, Ms. Florence.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I'd like to add to what Doctor has said. The Research and Development Department, which is my department, is in very deep consultations with higher institutions, federal universities, where prototypes are produced by these universities. And these prototypes are produced based on grants that are provided by the Commission. And when these prototypes are produced, the Commission goes a step forward to help in the commercialization of these prototypes. We have a booklet to help protect the intellectual properties of those people that have been involved in this prototype research. There's a particular research that is of very immense interest to us. It's a walking stick for the elderly. And if you're walking at night, it produces light to help, navigate as you're walking so that you don't trip and you don't fall. We've had prototype, researches in drones. We've had from universities. We've ensured that when you produce your intellectual property, we don't just let it go to waste like that. How do we help you further so that you are also going to gain from what you have produced, sort of? We held a roundtable event in Lagos and in Kano about a month ago. And one of the things we spoke about was renewable energy. That was the topic of, that roundtable. We wanted to know what are the other alternatives to this energy, because we keep having this energy problem. And then we brought together vice chancellors and deputy vice chancellors from universities in a room like this. And there were deliberations on issues concerning energy. And of course, a communique was issued, concerning what can be done. And it is basically the academia, probably other stakeholders from maybe the mobile network operators that we deal with to ensure that technologically, how can the academia plug into emerging technologies? How can they plug into artificial intelligence? It's one of the initiatives of the Executive Vice Chairman, Professor Umar Karbat Dambata, when for the Research and Development Department want to be established and to go into this objective of ensuring that universities are carried along in what the doctor has just said. So yes, the Commission is working hard to ensure, that artificial intelligence, we're just not going to make so much highfalutin noise about it, but of course, we're going to ensure that there's implementation at all levels, not just MNOs. We're going to carry the academia along. We are carrying the children along. We do hackathon competitions for them. We are carrying the girls along. Young girls can code. All levels of activities undertaken by the Nigerian Communications Commission. We are even into satellites. We are even into satellite broadband penetration. We licensed Starlink Limited. We just licensed it. The one that belongs to, is it Elon Musk? So the Commission is doing a whole lot to ensure, artificial intelligence implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Florence. Thank you all for your responses to the question. And based on what you have responded, I would like to take a general question. And I would want each and every one of you, to give a response towards this question. And probably I think I should start with Mr. Olusegun Odeyemi. Okay. Based on what we have discussed so far and what the Commission have done and is doing and is yet to do, what benefits are there in AI for the telecom consumers?
Specifically, we know that artificial intelligence is about data, okay? The collection of data, the analysis of data, the use of this big data, for our benefit. With regards to telecoms consumers and telecoms industry, artificial intelligence is able to help us with predictive maintenance, okay? So we have smart devices and advanced machines and advanced machine learning that can collect data and identify patterns that say, okay, in very basic terms, if so-so happens, then it's time to do so-so to this equipment, okay? And at the end of the day, this will lead to better quality of service and better quality of experience. We also have automation. So artificial intelligence, will help in the automation of many of these infrastructure and telecoms infrastructure. At the end of the day, this will translate to cost savings. Optimization as well. Optimization would lead to better, more efficient use of data, faster data speeds, and all that. Lastly, our primary role as NCC is that we're regulators. And a lot of the conversation has revolved around the benefits of artificial intelligence, okay? And we are also concerned that, as they say, anything that has an advantage has disadvantages as well. People all over the world, even the most renowned AI experts, are aware that there are negative consequences for unbridled or unchecked use of artificial intelligence. Our role as the Nigerian Communications Commission is to make sure that we stay ahead in the regulation and the governance of this industry to make sure that whatever artificial intelligence technologies we employ or we use in the country are for our benefit and will not or should not be used, for potentially harmful or negative tendencies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Hajia Howard, do I repeat the question or
No, I'm
you'll have it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
For me, I will still go back to e-commerce and the marketplace. There are so many AI-powered e-commerce platforms that telecom consumers can take advantage of. There are some that will help in pricing optimization and then personal product recommendations, most especially for youth, for us women. So it will help to guide what you're buying so that you don't go above your budget. Again, I want to mention e-commerce because I know this is where the youths are playing a big role, and majority of the telecom consumers are youth. Again, more so that there's a global research, the one I mentioned earlier, that indicates that one of the two areas that they have seen tremendous growth in today, in the digital economy is the e-commerce. And again, the federal government is targeting 1 million youth to have employment in ICT. So I think this is one area that telecom consumers can take advantage of and earn a living. So AI will benefit them in that regard. The second one I want to mention is the CRM, which is the customer relationship management. Telecom consumers can use that to help them, most especially with the voice-based assistants that we talked about, and then the chatbots that we talked about. This is one medium that they can use to communicate, with so many organizations, telecom regulators. The last one I want to mention is regards to forecasts and predictions, more especially for financial decisions. That is very, very important. There are some very powerful machine learning tools that we can use, based on algorithms, we'll be able to use to decipher and make decisions. They are able to analyze data quite quickly, faster, and then they are able to be more accurate. So with that, we are able to make informed decisions. Talking about that, I want to mention again that in enabling that environment, the Commission has been collaborating. In fact, it has a robust collaboration with CBN in trying to provide that enabling environment for digital financial services to thrive. You can see the tremendous growth, which is evidenced in the number of fintechs that we have around. Good or bad, just like you mentioned, in everything there's advantage and disadvantage. But the truth of the matter is that fintechs are bridging the gap of financial gap that we have in the country. And then we have, within a span just maybe of 2 or 3 years, we have almost 300 fintechs. This has been enabled based on that robust collaboration that NCC has always had with CBN. So basically, these are the areas that I think telecom consumers can benefit using AI. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hajia Hawa. Ms. Florence, do I repeat the question? Okay. What benefits are there in artificial intelligence for the telecom consumers?
Thank you for that question. I'm a telecom consumer too. So I'm going to use myself as an example. Forget that I work with Nigerian Communications Commission. Just see me like, I'm a citizen and I'm a telecom consumer. What benefits can I derive from artificial intelligence? They are very numerous, and some of them have already been mentioned by my colleagues. Some of the benefits, one benefit that is very crucial to me is what Hajia just mentioned, customer relationship management. We can deal with inquiries and deal with issues on our own through the use of artificial intelligence. The truth is, I don't have to go to my service provider to make noise, to cause trouble, to, I can stay at home when I pay for my cable television and I'm not connected quickly. I can stay at home and send a message to a certain number provided by that cable company to tell them that I have made my payment, but I've still not been connected. And a virtual assistant just pops up and tells me what to do. And before you know what is happening, that problem has been solved. That kind of platform where I can easily get issues resolved was provided by artificial intelligence. I'm very concerned about, very little things that we probably may take for granted that will not want, once in a while you just wonder, how come this thing has been solved? It's technology. Artificial intelligence makes all of these things possible. As a telecom consumer, how can you enjoy benefits of artificial intelligence? It's simple, very simple. AI can provide for you recommendations on the kind of plans that you can use. We're very concerned about how our data is depleted. I always come to data depletion because it was a major issue in the Nigerian Communications Commission at some point. Like I said, we're inundated with complaints from consumers, especially when we go for our Telecom Consumer Parliament. All we hear is, how come my data is always depleted? How come my data is always depleted? So basically, that is what a telecom consumer would complain about. It's very simple. AI can provide for you plans, recommend for you data plans that may be suitable for the kind of money you have to buy a plan. AI can recommend that for you and tell you that you shouldn't, overshoot this amount. You can be here so that you can, manage your data properly. Artificial intelligence can also provide a basis. Like I said earlier, notifications can be sent to you. If one, you are overusing your data, overshooting your money, entering plans that you're not supposed to enter, as I said earlier, artificial intelligence gives you a notification. And as soon as those notifications come, it helps you to make informed decision about your data usage. We are almost all saying the same thing, but basically as a telecom consumer, we all know how much we have been able to gain as far as artificial intelligence is concerned. So it's going to be like overflogging the issue. But if we articulate all of these things we've said here, I'm very sure that we have like between 10 to 12 reasons or 10 to 12 benefits that a telecom consumer can derive from AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Florence. Dr. Ahmed Amate.
Thank you, Madam. Do you mind repeating the question? Sorry.
Sorry. What benefits are there in artificial intelligence for the telecom consumers?
Okay, I'm an engineer, so as a technical person, really, I would hammer on one point, which is quality of experience and quality of service. Now, I'll explain this from two perspectives, from the regulatory perspective and from the operator's perspective, but all to the benefit of the consumer. So from the regulatory perspective, and I'll put a disclaimer, I'm just giving an instance here. These are not policies we've developed. As an example, let's say we develop a policy where all the operators we have can actually have a sort of handshake, sort of instantaneous handshake, right? So a user, for example, will go to an area and there's good coverage of Airtel, but there's no good coverage of MTN or Glo. So I can imagine at the top of my head, literally, that what if there's a policy which allows some sort of intelligence on your phone for you to be able to select the best signal strength at a certain location when you're trying to do something. That is a classic example of what AI can do to a consumer from the regulatory side. So we're going to obviously emphasize on a lot of policies, on a lot of guidelines to support provision of good quality of service for the consumer. And for the consumer to also have a certain level of control as well. So from the operator side, like I said, as an engineer, I'll focus on that aspect. So one of the things they do to resolve issues, when you have signal strength issues or coverage issues, is to do a drive test or to do like a physical or digital optimization in order to provide better signal strength at certain locations. So as it is, the use of artificial intelligence in these processes, such as drive tests, optimization of networks, can be done intelligently with minimum resources without having to send alarms, deploy field engineers to go to certain sites and physically bring down an antenna, turn it to a certain direction, or do whatever manipulations to serve a customer. So I might be saying it as if it is from the operator's perspective, but then it is to the benefit of the consumer, because if those kind of processes are being automated and a little bit of intelligence is put in, it puts a level of control to the consumer, it puts a level of adaptability in the network, and it puts a certain level of choice that the consumer has when using the telecom services. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can agree with me that they have done justice to this topic. Thank you very much. But before I wrap up, you could see me, I did a lot of jottings, taking notes, putting down things, and I guess we are also doing the same thing. And based on that, I would expect questions, or clarifications or suggestions from the audience. So it's now turn for question and answer, please. Thank you. Yes, please, can we?
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Ejiofor Agada. I am a media enthusiast, especially in IT-related issues. Correct me if I am wrong, but I don't think most of the panelists are answering some of the questions correctly, especially when it has to do with deploying AI for consumer service issues. Why I'm saying this is because NCC over the years have not yet been identified as a regulator that pays a lot of attention concerning issues of consumer service. And what I was expecting to hear was how NCC will deploy tools of AI like their counterparts in India and in Pakistan and in UK to be able to prevent what we call telecom fraud. Because, madam, what you are referring to about your data depleting is actually telecom fraud. And we have it in this country. And it has been unchecked for the past 15 years. So what we are saying here, what I am saying here is, what is NCC as a regulator doing? Because there are instances I can point to you in India, Pakistan, in Canada, and UK. And I have used my phone outside Nigeria before, and I bought mobile data. And I can say that what we tolerate in Nigeria is not obtainable in most countries. So what exactly is NCC going to do? And how do they expect to use AI? Not telling me how I should use AI. What is NCC going to do in terms of using AI to monitor telecom fraud? Thank you.
Please, anybody ready can take the response, please.
Okay, so sorry, let me correct the speaker a little bit. So, with regards to your reference to data depletion as telecom fraud, Madam really gave justice to that topic, but maybe not to your understanding. Let me try to break it down a little bit. So, for example, the difference between network technologies as they transverse from 1G to 5G, in a layman's term, is literally just the speed of your data and the capacity of the network. So what has happened over time, and I can't remember who exactly said it among the two, but what has happened over time is that you have a 4G network. Now, a consumer that is used to browsing on a 3G network, which has a limited capacity, is now working with 4G. I do not want to go too technical. I'll try to put it on the surface. So when you have a bigger bandwidth and higher data rate potential, so what you would use in 3G, let's say if you're going to use 1 gig in 3G, it will deplete slower because the bandwidth of the actual frequencies are lower than that of the current technologies. And that is why we have the higher speeds with the current technology, right? So because the bandwidth is higher, it seems like your data is depleting faster. But then it is within the confines of the technology, right? So that's the whole essence. So what some operators do, I actually used to work with an operator, and it is actually one of the projects that I did. It's called PCRF and data throttling. So what some operators do is to throttle your data in such a way that it will not download at that speed of the 4G so that you have ample data to use over the period of your subscription, right? As opposed to some operators would actually leave the bandwidth open for you, right? And for benefit of argument, if you guys bring out 4 phones from different operators and you do a speed test, you're going to see that no matter how good the signal is, assuming all of them have good reception here, you will see that the data rates, the maximum data rate of each of the operators are going to be different. So every operator has decided its own way of controlling data depletion. And some operators throttle it in such a way that no matter what you do at a particular second, you cannot have more than 5 megahertz bandwidth, right? Or you can't have more than 5 Mbps download speed at a particular time. So those things are easily misunderstood as fraud, as my brother has said earlier. So they're not really fraud. So with regards to what India, Pakistan, and other countries are doing, if you heard the question correctly from the moderator, it was not asking what we are doing. It is asking how are the consumers going to benefit from AI, not from NCC's perspective. But nonetheless, it is a very valid question, very good point. And hopefully, over time, you're going to see what policies and what actions we've taken with regards to your concerns. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Please, excuse me. We've been asked to reduce the question due to time. Our time is up, so we'll take 2 more questions, please.
Sure. No problem.
You have response to that?
Yes. Just
the time.
Okay. Yeah.
Please.
Just a quick one anyway. As the saying goes, if you are a jack of all trade and master of none. The truth of the matter is that, as it is right now in Africa, those economies that he mentioned are advanced economies. Just like the research I mentioned, they studied, all those economies that they studied are not in Africa. We are just scratching in Africa. Basically, like the panel before us talked about, the policy framework is very, very important. That is what we need to put in place. And again, infrastructure, that is what we are focusing on for the moment. So we shouldn't put the horse, the cart before the horse, or the horse before the cart. So that is what we are focusing on. These discussions are the kind of discussions that will open up, for us to look at these issues. So it's a good question for us to bring it out and put it on the table and discuss. But right now, we have not gone that far in Africa, for us to begin to look at that technology. Just like he said, these are some ideas that are coming up. Let us even focus on the infrastructure. We're talking about the infrastructure that will enable these technologies to thrive. We're talking about 5G, we're talking about broadband. This is what we are focusing on for now as we continue the conversations on AI and other emerging technologies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions, please.
My name is Redwan Ibrahim. I'm a digital marketer of Lisa Suit, a short-let apartment in Asokoro, Abuja. My question are just 2, more like an observation. On the infrastructure, because we need to consider the sustainability of all these AIs and we need to look into the cost of internet in a whole. Someone like me, I get to spend up to 38,000 naira monthly on bandwidth. Some people spend more. So if we could, now we have Starlink. Starlink costs 520,000 naira. After that, there is subsequent subscription. There's even a first-time subscription. Roughly, I'm going to actually spend not less than 680,000 on the first installation of everything. So what's the sustainability? Looking at it. So what if we have more of internet bandwidth where they can have more consideration of yearly subscription, whereby it's less costly, and these people are really making money as a form of tax rebate? However, it's more cheaper. Because now AI is even creating more opportunity for them. Over time, now they make more money. So we need to look into having more internet bandwidth, maybe in Africa, maybe a bilateral relation to Nigeria, so we can spend less on internet and have yearly subscription, whereby you don't have to spend up to maybe 500,000 in a year on internet, yearly. So that's number one. Number two, AI has actually helped telecom companies explore and make more money in terms of data optimization, CRM, chatbot system, sharing of data. So due to that, I feel, what if we monetize data privacy agreement? Oftentimes, they get to have our data, our phone numbers, our contacts, they get to share it to some people, maybe legally or illegally. That may have been happening to loan apps, some other form of apps. You get SMS from them. Maybe that may have been happening in background. Some of us, everybody here is actually a customer. You get to get maybe a text message from what you have never signed up for. So how about we monetize that data privacy agreement, whereby the customer gets paid for the data being shared? I don't know if we understand that.
Yeah.
Sorry, the consumer gets paid for what? For the data?
For his data, for my phone number to be shared to another company for them to run ads. However, I get paid for that. So, because over time they have been actually doing that. So if we can monetize, if the NCC can actually look into how we can monetize data privacy agreement.
Okay, thank you. Please, Dr. Mata, can you take the...
Okay.
Yeah, please. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to, the first question you asked about annual subscriptions. So there are actually a number of network providers who give you the options of annual subscriptions. You know, we always try to remind people, our job as regulators is, of course, primarily to protect consumers, but we also try to create an enabling atmosphere for these businesses to thrive. I mean, this industry currently contributes about 16% to our GDP, and Q3 investments in the industry was about $77 billion, okay? So we continue to create an enabling atmosphere so that people can come here and invest and compete and make some of these things that you want easily accessible. I mean, many of us remember back in, when this whole thing started, 99, 2000, when MTN and co swore that they could never do per second billing. Enabling atmosphere, Glo comes in, there's per second billing. So we continue to create these avenues and an environment for more people to come in, and you know, it becomes a more competitive market to give you better services, more pocket-friendly services. What you were saying about selling of data, yes, most of these companies make billions of dollars from data. We know that. I'm sure Dr. Amati will want to add to this, but in reality, the data that you as an individual, contribute to the pool, because you're talking about billions upon billions of data. If Google, for instance, was going to pay you for providing your name and address, you probably would not do anything with that money. The money they make is by collecting billions upon billions of data, trends, patterns, and all that. That is how it translates to, stuff that they can sell to people who want those patterns and trends for their businesses. Doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. You've actually done justice to the second question. So for the first question, to start with, to be honest, you made a very interesting suggestion. I didn't look at it from that perspective. And I feel, yes, you should get something for sending out your data. Now, I'm going to ask you, it is going to be an engaging response, right? So I'll ask you honestly, 5 years ago, how much were you paying to make a call per minute? Just on top of your head, if you can remember. Pardon? To make a call per minute. So how much are you paying now to make a call per minute with your operator? If you know. If you don't, it's fine. Almost 7 naira. So 3 naira increase from 5 years ago. So over 5 years ago, dollar has increased from what? What was dollar 5 years ago?
150.
150. And how is dollar now? 850 naira. Now look at the gap between what these equipment manufacturers and these operators are suffering, and how we, honestly, we should be giving small applause sometimes, because it is actually a serious effort from the Commission to ensure that they keep the price down. Sorry to bring down dollar, it's not our official currency, but the truth is, all of these operators use equipment that they import from outside, right? There's going to be operational costs, there's going to be cost of equipment, cost of customizing the equipment to serve their own needs. So within a space of 5 years, these guys have an increase of over 1,000% in terms of their cost of buying equipment, in terms of their cost of operations, but yet you've had an increase of 3 naira over that period, and you think we're not doing enough to make it better. Please always get this information and educate yourself on what the regulator is doing to ensure the regulator, like Madam has said, is primarily concerned on the consumer. And they've put in a lot of effort, a lot of arm twisting. Another classic example for most people that are administrators here will know is the issue of right-of-way. These are some of the things we really press down. The Ministry of Communication, in conjunction with the Commission and other sister agencies, have somehow found a scheme to reduce a linear meter fiber laying used to cost at least 7,500 naira over 10 years ago. As I'm talking to you in 2023, because of the efforts of the ministry and the commission, we've now gotten states that are offering as little as 4,500 naira per linear meter to lay your fiber cable. All this effort is to make sure that the burden does not go down to the consumer. We are looking out for you, right? So we've gone as far as convincing some states, like Kaduna State, Governor El-Rufai, fantastic guy, decided to offer free right-of-way for anybody providing any telecom service, with the intention to now create a stimulating economy through telecoms in each state. And a few other governors, 3 or 4 governors, followed suit. So please, it's a misconception. Don't think anybody is ripping you off. We're actually ripping off the telecom operators. We're squeezing them as much as we can to make sure that they provide services to you efficiently in terms of quality of service and in terms of cost that you pay for your services. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. One more question. If in the absence of any, okay, we have one more.
Good afternoon. My name is Sadiq
And that will
Ahmad.
be our last question for today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Sadiq Ahmad. I just want to piggyback off some of the questions that were asked already. Before I do that, though, I want to compliment NCC, as they're one of the sectors that are actually doing really well in Nigeria. The telecommunication sector, sorry. But back to my questions. Regarding the telecom fraud that he mentioned, I just want to touch on something. even for non-technical people, on our smartphones, Androids, I don't know if iPhones have it, you can track how much data your phone has used up. But my phone tally never tallies with what Glo are charging me or what Airtel are charging me. Because every time my phone tally tells me it's lower than what I actually subscribed for by the time they tell me it has expired. So how do we compare the two? And then the second is regarding the data privacy. Is it possible for NCC to enforce those telecommunications companies to make sure that an individual opts in to something before they can sell their data? Because sometimes, not just data per se, but even for their plans, for example, they have these tricks where they trick you into subscribing for certain plans. Do you have any plans for curtailing things like that? For example, like the caller tunes and things like that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Flo, you want to take it? Okay.
Thank you very much for that question. Caller tunes. No subscriber will force you to use a caller tune or not to use a caller tune. Really. They trick you. Oh, wow, trick. Oh, that's a very interesting word. They trick you. Okay, I note that word, trick. Do you know about do not disturb policy?
Absolutely.
That's a very, very interesting word. We're going to take that on board, that telecom operators are tricking our consumers. We take consumers consumers are very important to the Commission. Every year, March, we call that month the Consumer is King month. We don't take it for granted. And that's why we have, with the Consumer Affairs Bureau Department, we have various platforms that are held, in urban areas and rural areas and schools, Telecom Consumer Parliament, and, issues like this have, always come up. But this is new to me that we are hearing that they trick us. We're going to take your comment on board, and we're going to take your comment on board. I wanted to say something, please don't let me say. So we're going to take your comment on board. Maybe my colleagues will have something to say about that.
Thank you very much. You don't have to even take it back to the Commission, because I work with the Consumer Affairs Bureau. I'm sorry I'm not supposed to be taking questions, but I have a sensitization I would like to make after this. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, my wonderful panelists. Yeah?
Yes, just a quick response to give him a kind of hope.
Okay,
yes,
time.
and to update, yes, just for the records, because we don't know how far this information will go. It's not only Kaduna State that is doing zero rights of way. No, we have three states. We have Osun, Anambra, okay, and so that it won't be like we are promoting one state.
I mentioned
all right,
three
okay,
states,
that's
yes.
good. And again, to give you some kind of hope, the National Broadband Plan that I mentioned is a public document. Please go check it out. One of the targets of that national plan, is to have cost of data per gig to be 360 naira per 1 gig, right?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm not about right of way, yeah. Costs of data.
Absolutely.
360 naira. That is the target of that plan by 2025. Don't forget, that is what I said, the plan that the Commission is using. So one of the targets is to have the cost come down by end of 2025. So it's a work in progress. Just like he said, we are faced with so many challenges. One of them is the right of way that he mentioned, vandalization. So many, yes, multiple taxation, policies, there are so many challenges. But in as much as, we are facing this challenge, we are working towards achieving that target by 2025. Apart from 70% of broadband coverage to the unserved and underserved areas of Nigeria. Every village, every house, hopefully, will have broadband access to their doorstep. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. They said that everything that has a beginning does what? It has an end. We have actually overshoot our time. We apologize. For those of us who still have questions, please visit us at our stand. We have stand here. I'm sure a lot of you have not gone there to know what we do. Some of you hear about NCC. Anyway, I'll talk about that. Thank you, wonderful panelists. Thank you for all what you have done today. And even thank you, my audience, for giving attention. Today, we've been able to look into so many things, and I have done a lot of jotting, like I said. And when they were saying, I jotted, a lot of collaborations need to be done for artificial intelligence to have a way in Africa, just like every other our counterparts. There needs to be a lot of collaboration, stakeholders, engagement. It's not not just the telecom, like when I was taking the EVC speech, the academias, the people in different sectors. What they have said, if you have uninterrupted power supply, then artificial intelligence is already there. But tell me, without artificial power supply, listen to what happens to us when you even want to make common bank transaction and all those things, you know, and you are unable to charge your phone. Would you be able to do that? No. And a lot of other issues, apart from the telecom, like he said, maybe robust technology and all those things. They said something about financial inclusion. Everybody needs to be included. It is for all and not just for one. And I tried to jot one or two things. He said, from that response, I also gathered that AI is here to stay, as Africa is not left out. And Hajia Hawa did say something. She kind of, was it pacifying us? She said something about people getting scared of AI taking our job. She did mention like clerical jobs, driving, you know, and all that sort of job. But there was something she did say. She kind of pacified us and said no, that there are also emerging jobs. Imagine things coming up, and we should also leverage on that. And also, you just don't sit and remain the same. You also have to improve
Upskill.
in your own way. You know, in case your job is being taken, you have better things to do. And then they said that the telecom consumers are already benefiting from AI transformation in several ways. And from what Flo said, he said, AI can analyze consumer data to offer tailored plans and improve customer experience. And it can enhance network performance, according to Dr. Mata, and reducing downtime. And it also helps in improving the quality of services, you know. And telecom providers can also use AI to predict and prevent network equipment failures, and can identify billing discrepancies and dictate fraudulent activities, so that the AI is a safeguard to consumers and to their data and privacy. I hope I have actually touched all what they said here. And before the final wrap-up, I would not close this session without sensitizing you people. Please, just 2 minutes. Sensitizing you people. For those who do not know, I can moderate and I work in consumer affairs, and I live here without sensitizing you on the initiatives that the Commission has taken to empower consumers, to inform them and to protect them. In NCC, we have a slogan. We said that take advantage of us so that no one take advantage of you. That is our slogan. And how do you do that? You need to know your right. There are rights, consumer bill of rights that we have. Please, when you have free time, come to our booth. I would want you to take a copy of this. It has a lot of initiatives that we have put in place for the consumers, because if you know your right, no one can take advantage of you. For those of you who talk about billings, about forcefully enrolling you into color tunes and all those things, no, it's not. In short, you can't do it, because NCC came up with a code 2442. It's a short code and it's free for you. It's for you to opt in and out. Operators cannot force you into any services. You have a choice because it has a bouquet of things that drops down the menu. You want to be communicated. Do you want to receive unsolicited text messages? You have the right to say no. And if you want to receive solicited, because the bouquet talks about different, maybe health, education, different types of things, you are the one to choose what you want. And when you have been subscribed fraudulently, without you opting in, you have the right to opt out. And if you don't, please complain to NCC. We do have a number, a toll-free number. This is part of our initiative. We are taking your bills while you are relaxing. We pay the bills. It's not free, in as much as it's a toll-free, but we pay the service providers on your behalf. So the number is 622. 622 is operational from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. from Monday to Friday, exception of national public holidays. We have our agents seated waiting for you to make your complaints to them. And we have a lot of things, mobile number portability. I'm not going to talk much, but the Consumer Bill of Rights says what? This is your right. You need to know this as your right. You have the right to quality of service. You have the right to be informed. Your service provider should tell you what is happening in your network. You have the right to safety. You have the right to choose what service you want. That was why we came up with what we call the mobile number portability. Mobile number portability allows you to port. If I'm using MTN and I'm not satisfied with MTN services, all what I need to do is to port to maybe the desired one, maybe Airtel, and with retaining my number. So when I port, others will still be seeing me. Those who know my number will still think I'm on MTN network. However, I've ported. I'm now using Airtel. These are things we are making to delight the consumers. In NCC, we are consumer-centric. We love consumers. I told you initially when I started, it is because of the consumers that we are in business. And then you have the right to privacy. You have the right to timely redress. We have given the service providers. There are no complaints that should stay more than 24 hours and remain unresolved. No. Except if it is something that has to do maybe with outage somewhere or whatever. But if it is something you have to. Then if they're not listening to you, the thing is you call them, complain to them first before you come to NCC. It's only when you complain and they're not listening to you that you have the right to now call NCC 622. If you want to write, you write. If you want to call, you call. We have so many avenues. We have the social media handles that you can actually reach us. And then you have the right for fair complaint processes and so many things. I don't want to bore us. I have this. It's in our stand. Please do us a favor by getting one. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you, ma'am. Yeah? Oh, yes, and when you come, we will sensitize you more. You can visit also our website, www.ncc.gov.ng. But come to our stand and we'll sensitize you the more. Thank you very much. Thank you, my wonderful panelists.